Hey guys, it's Dan here. Welcome to the land of Final Fantasy Type 0. Embrace the motion sickness as I twirl the camera around. Oh, it still gets me. Even after playing a good 15 hours of this game, it still gets me. Just too strong. But hello, this is, as I said, Final Fantasy 15. No, it's not. Bullshit. I mixed up my words. Final Fantasy Type 0, as I was going to say, it's the game you probably got to get the Final Fantasy 15 demo. I know probably most people, I would say, got this game for that, which is kind of sad, because this is a pretty great game in its own right, I think. And personally, don't tell anyone I said this, but it's probably better than the demo. Well, I've enjoyed this way more than the demo, but my feelings on the demo have been made clear elsewhere, So this is a sort of spiritual follow-up to Crisis Core, which Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, which came out on the PSP, or at least that is how people have sort of described it to me. People who, after I played Crisis Core on the PSP a while ago and enjoyed it, that's kind of how some people described this to me before it came out. Okay, so we don't need to see all this. What am I doing here? I don't know. Kind of a spiritual sequel in like system wise, mechanically. It's kind of the flow of the combat. It's kind of like an offshoot to the main Final Fantasy series. It's not turn based or anything, but we'll get into all that later. But it doesn't follow on story wise at all. That was all like Final Fantasy VII crap. This is totally separate stuff, and we are in a Hogwarts like place for Final Fantasy kids, Final Fantasy magic people, students. So this is kind of the hub world, the hub place, I guess, that you go to in and out of missions. This is a place to sort of, get side quests, do stuff, talk to people, get story. You do all sorts of stuff. You see in the bottom right there, we got 6 hours to do a mission. Every time you can just skip that if you want. You can just talk to a certain guy and skip that timer and just skip straight to the mission. But otherwise you can do events and stuff that will take time off that and slowly take it down, generally in increments of 2. Every time you talk to someone that has an exclamation mark above their head, they'll usually give you an item, and then that will take away some time off it. Or you can go out into the outworld, the overworld or whatever, and do side quests and whatever, which you get from people in here. So probably important to note that this is a PSP port. This is obviously this is a game that came out in 2011 in Japan, and this is the first time it's come over here in the US and Europe in English, obviously. It's the first time it's come over since then. There have been fan translations in the works, but I want to say there was some weird thing where that got shut down because this was in production or whatever. So that's kind of a shame if people put plenty of hours into that and it just got shut down or whatever. But it's cool to have this game that people have been wanting for a long time finally over here. It's tied into the Final Fantasy 15 demo or whatever, as you can imagine. But we'll just get into the overworld here because I want to show off a couple of things. It's a pretty interesting game. It's pretty cool. But yeah, as I was going to say about the PSP port, playing this obviously on a PS4, it's on the Xbox One as well, but this is the PS4 version, and I think it looks pretty good for the most part. There's some surprisingly nice particle effects and lighting effects. I think some of the character models look okay. These are this is obviously the main character, so he looks the best, and then some of the secondary ones don't look too hot, especially if we go into conversation with this guy. If you get up close and nasty, then yeah, it's not too fantastic. But there's some really nice CG as you'd expect from Square games, but then there are cutscenes where it's just you talk to people and they don't look too good. We'll probably get into them later. But so kind of the crux of this game is that you have this is Class 0. You're sort of the elite group of students in this Hogwarts place, and there are 12 of you. And this is kind of your party at all times that you can pick from. You can only have 3 people on the field at one time, so you kind of mix and match. But if someone dies on the field, you kind of swap out for one of these people. And these are all 12 characters that all have preset names, preset classes. You can't customize them from the outset. But obviously, you know, you can choose what spells they have, you can choose what items they have and stuff. But they all have different weapons. They all have completely different playstyles and disadvantages and advantages and stuff. So there's plenty of variation in this. This is kind of what makes it combat quite interesting. Is just mix and matching these people. I generally found on my main save, which is way further than this, is right at the beginning. I'm like level 30-ish on most of my characters here. This is right at the beginning. I just made a save and just skipped through the prologue, and we're just pretty much straight out of the prologue. So, but I found on that main save that I generally got a good sort of 3 or 4 people I like to use. Like permanently as my main party, which was like Ace is the main guy. He has like cards like Gambit from X-Men. He throws cards at people. There was Scythe. We can actually move the people around. Scythe, she has like a scythe. She has some cool spells as well. She's pretty powerful. And it was 7 as well. She has some pretty good magic melee. So that's a pretty good balance of like physical and magic attack, and some pretty nice variation of spells and stuff. And then I have other people like I use Machina quite a lot, because he has some pretty nice abilities, and you can switch between them on the fly, as you'll see when we get to the combat. And I kind of just choose people I actually like playing. I don't really like playing. There's like this guy with the bow and this other guy with the gun somewhere. This guy that I just didn't really like playing, cause didn't really like the way that the weapon's handled or whatever. Obviously it's all third person. You don't actually go into like FPS mode or whatever. But okay, we can't go outside because we're in like prologue mode kind of, but we'll just skip into the main mission, I guess, and see what's going on. Alright, sorry about that. Kind of lost track of where I was, but you can kind of see here, if we look at the map, we'll look at the map, pull a map up here. It's got a map of the sort of area. It's called Academia's places, weirdly enough. The Hogwarts like place. It's kind of a weird map, but you can't get your head around it. But you can see that there's a lot going on here. There's a ton of like opportunities to do events, side quests, you know, a bunch of different buildings, you know, for you know, you can do all sorts of stuff. Like there's an armory for weapons and armor to buy and sell. It's a place for magic, a place for like getting missions, side quests, and a bunch of characters all around the place that will give you random quests and events and stuff. And you can breed chocobos, actually. I was just reminded of that, which is a pretty cool thing, because chocobos are like expendable, consumable, I should say, not expendable. That sounds fucking horrible, but kind of consumable things that you use on the overworld, because this game has an overworld, which is kind of crazy. Because when the hell was the last time a Final Fantasy game had an overworld? Like what, 9 or something? But was it? Yeah, 9. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because I don't think Crisis quite. But anyway, you use them on the overworld to kind of go fast, and they're consumable, so it's definitely worthwhile to breed them. We can't do that right now because we're in, you know, super early prologue stages of the game. I'll probably jump into the my other save in a bit just to show off some of the stuff that is gated off at this moment. But you know, you do kind of do a lot of stuff in the hub world. I think it's pretty well built out. I like that you have to, you know, you come back in after every mission, and it gives you, you know, you have a certain amount of time to kill before the next mission, so you can kind of choose to do as many events and quests and stuff as you can, or just, you know, skip it as we're going to do now. So super early on, so it's not really we're not really into spoiler territory here. I don't want to do story missions in my main save because it's way deep in, but
good work.
We'll kind of get in here. Okay, so basically the premise of this game is that you are a faction, like Concordia, I believe it is. It's one of the factions with you, working with you. You're at war with basically the Imperials, basically like good guy, bad guy type thing going on here.
Calling us all to a meeting.
And that's kind of the premise, and you sort of fight in the war as part of this like elite class of like student mages or whatever the hell, in this like Hogwarts type school that has been roped up into some sort of army or something weird, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it, but don't think too much about it, and it's fun. Okay, I wasn't sure if you paid too much attention there, but you probably saw that cutscene. Those are the cutscenes I was talking about before, where it's just people talking that don't look too great. There's something really stiff about the animations. And you know, it's a PS people, and that's obviously why. But I think that kind of like, this game doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look bad by any standard. Like some of these textures look a little grimy. They don't look fantastic. And you know, if you get too close on stuff, you'll see the real detail underneath. But from a distance, it looks pretty good for the most part. Like I said, it's a nice effect. So we have to talk to this guy. He's like our instructor, our commanding officer, or whatever. And he'll say, "Yo, this is the deal, yo. Do this, do that."
Leave this to
So
me. Let's try.
we have to go to him first, and then we can go into the world and actually start a mission. So it's kind of a little tedious that at the start of pretty much every mission you have to. I do this run. You got to run down there into the classroom, accept the mission off this guy, run all the way down here to the actual one. You can't skip through or whatever, but you know the load time's like near instant in these areas, so it's hard to really complain. It's just the running that's kind of tedious, but I don't know. I like the effect. I like that. You know the sort of music and there's like people chanting you on. It's a bit ridiculous, but I like it. So I can't remember exactly what mission it is because you know, like I said, I'm about 15 years in, so the early parts of this game are kind of a blur, but we should be able to use. God, these guys, fuck, they're everywhere. Yeah, do stuff. All right, we'll be fine. Probably. I hope we're fine. I just want to say again, I think it's really dumb that this place is called Academia, but okay. What the hell does it want us to do? Oh, I think we need to defend this town. So yeah, you know, this is the overworld. If we were later in the game, we'd have like consumable chocobos, which is kind of a weird concept to think about, but a bit of a fucked up one. But don't look too deep into it. But don't look too deep into the inner workings of Final Fantasy, and you'll be fine. General life advice there, but that would let us go much faster, and we can avoid. There you go. As if on cue, we could avoid random encounters like this. So we'll get into the combat here for the first time. You see, there's a party of 3. And you'll immediately notice that, you know, it's completely non-turn based. You can run around, you can dodge, and the HUD loads up, and you know, you've got your 4 main abilities there, 4 commands. Square is generally, well not generally, square is auto attack. That'll do whatever. That will auto attack with whatever weapon you've got. Like I said, this guy's like a card wielding gambit guy, like an X-Men dude. He throws cards everywhere. So. She leveled up, Final Fantasy music, she got IP. Okay. And then you have your 3 spells. You choose from all these. 2 X and triangle are offensive, and then circle is generally an offensive defensive spell, I should say. So you could choose to have like 1 physical ability and then 1 magic spell, or later on you could eventually choose to have 2 magic spells if you wish, and then I missed the opportunity to get Phantoma, but that's a different system we'll get into next time we get into a fight. Yeah, we can actually look at the reserves, and we can just look to, you know, two commands. That yellow sort of arrow implies that it's an ability, and then the Blizzard Bomb is obviously a magic spell. You can see everyone's got that sort of set up, and you can have 2. Everyone can have 2 abilities from the start, but you can only get 2 magic spells later on in the game when your characters are way more upgraded. But you also see that I'm getting AP, and that is used to upgrade abilities and stuff, and get passive abilities, get new abilities, upgrade them, you know, all sorts of stuff. So we can select everyone that we want to be involved in this mission. So I generally just pick everyone because there's no reason you shouldn't. That'll just include everyone that can be in this mission. Change equipment, we don't need to do that. But then the actual active party members of the party members that we're actually going to be controlling. So I'm going to go with my classic party that I enjoy. SP support is... we won't use that. That basically swaps out your party members for like a bunch of random sort of CPU people that help you out that are really powerful, but obviously you miss out on getting experience from your guys if that's the case. You do instead get SPP, support points I think it's called, which is a separate currency used to buy specific stuff. So there's kind of a lot going on here. What I just did there was when you kill an enemy, you get the option 2 when you're locked on, which you lock on with R1, but when you lock on after they're dead, you get a chance to absorb Phantoma, which is a kind of like a separate currency used to upgrade spells. I'll show it in a bit. Probably I can actually look at it when we get to a save point, but see when they're dead, it does this, and this will absorb from all dead enemies. So I hit square there, and I absorb a bunch of Phantoma, bunch of different types, different colours. They all reflect on the different types of magic: lightning, fire. I think it's lightning, fire, and ice, and then like defensive are the ones, and then unique. But I don't know what unique is. So again, we'll look at that when we can. But that's a very important thing that you should pretty much do every time you get killed, every time you can. And obviously it gives you mana as well, so... Like, I remember this bit. Yeah, you have to kind of flank this fortification. So there are a lot of, like, fundamental passive abilities that... Or upgrades that you can get for everyone, like... Every character has a type of dodge. You know, this guy kind of turns into a pack of cards or something nuts, and then just, like, fucking animates his way across the screen, but... Everyone's dodge starts off a really basic position where you can only do 2. Like that, and then you can have to stop. But you can upgrade them so that you can, you know, dodge a 3rd time, or you can dodge indefinitely is the next one. You know, you get really basic stuff that, like, just passive movement increases, which are kind of a weird thing to be spending AP on, but it's kind of not essential, but there's no point in not having it. Yeah, this little dude who's like gonna tell me shit. He's always telling me what's going on. So my ability to cutting cards will generally, or cut cards I should say. Oh god, will generally just pick like a random ability based on the colour, and I can unleash it whenever I want. So if I hit X, it'll tell me what's on square where it is. That's a short stop. That'll stun him for a bit. MP charge, that'll give me mana. And you can later on you can eventually swap out a cut card with like a specific kind of cut card that will like have a greater chance to give you like an offensive card or a defensive card or a healing card or whatever. Obviously it's still random, you can't control it, so you could end up just getting like 4 stops in a row, which is not great. But I do believe that if you get consecutive cards of the same thing, the same type, then they get better, or they like improve. So if I got 2 heals in a row, it would be a greater heal, or whatever. If I got 2 stops in a row, it would be a longer stop, you know. Okay, so we're kind of spamming for the most part because it is easy. You know, I've got my triangle spell I could use, which is pretty effective. I generally find that the most effective kind of magic in this game is like lightning, weirdly enough, because that's really effective against machines, and there's a lot of like vehicles and like armored enemies or whatever that take extra lightning damage. So I generally find that's pretty effective. Okay, I can hit, you know, right on the D-pad to switch characters at any point. I generally just stick with Ace because he's a pretty safe bet. But we'll switch to Scythe for a bit just to have a bit of change. She's pretty effective. She's one of my secondary go-to when Ace is dead away. Because if people die, they have to be swapped out. I only actually just figured this out recently, which is pretty crazy considering I played like 15 hours of this game. But I don't know why I didn't connect the dots. But you get Phoenix Downs, obviously, because you know it's a Dark game, but you get Phoenix Downs. But and obviously you can use them to revive people once they die in battle. But that they, you know, obviously I never connected the dots on that. So otherwise, if you don't have any items to revive people, or I think you can actually get spells to do it as well, like re-raise, I think it's called. They'll allow you to revive people. But if not, you just have to switch them out. We'll just switch back to Ace, because I like Ace. Ace is pretty cool, dude. Oh. So, you know, this orange means that, you know, he's like a kind of mini boss or whatever. So he's got more health, he does more damage, obviously, but also, if we kill him then first, without killing other enemies, then those enemies will kind of like surrender. If there were any here, I should say, they will kind of surrender, and we can go up to them and like loot them and end on the spear. So that's oh boy. But yeah, that's sorry, I got distracted there. The important thing to note when you fight Lieutenant is that if you do kill that one, then it effectively gets rid of the others. So if you want to equip there and stand still, you'll quickly heal up. So that's what I was doing there. Oh boy. Another boss there. The combat's pretty mashy when it comes to normal enemies, you can probably tell. Okay, there's a field thing there. Obviously, I'm pretty much just spamming things on the main guys, because any attack that you use will like stagger them, so you can just spam it. But when it comes to bosses and like thingies, there's a lot of dodging, a lot of mixing up different spells, particularly later on. And again, but pretty early on, so you'll also see. He's gonna keep shooting me, so I'm going to keep dodging. Oh my god! You'll also see at some point, probably sort of before actually, where it kind of makes a noise and then glows yellow, and there's like a yellow circle. That means that there's a window to get a crit on, and if I do that, it'll do significant damage. And it's partially random, but it's also kind of timing based. Like if after an attack or just before an attack, just before they're about to launch their own attack, then you can do it then. Or there's a red one which is called like kill switch or something, kill shot, I can't remember. And that will, as the name implies, that will kill it instantly. So they are a lot harder to get on bosses and larger enemies. Pretty common on these guys, on like just fodder enemies. There you go, this is the one. If I'd have hit that, then he would have died instantly. But we got one over there. I think you'll generally get them on bottom mini bosses and bosses when the boss is pretty low health, but it's kind of a short window to do that. So okay, so that guy's surrendered now, so we can go up to him and just go like, "Yo, dude, give me yo shit," and it'll give me an HP enhancer. Thanks, buddy. That's cool. Then we get a ranking. Phantoma Harvest. I always get really low rating on that. I don't really know why. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but get a bunch of shit as well, depending on what you do. We'll save. I don't want to play too much of the story stuff because again, I don't really want to. Okay, this is my main save. I'm like 12 hours in, so and I'm like chapter 5. Don't know how long this game is. Seems like it's probably decently long. After all, it's still a Final Fantasy game, even if it is an offshoot. It's still, mind you though, even if it is like an offshoot, it's still full price. I would say it was like 40 quid when I got this, $60 or whatever the equivalent is. So I can't imagine it's particularly short. But like I said, I'm like 12 hours in, and can't imagine that the story is going to wrap up anytime soon. Let's just say, mind you, I think the story's pretty much just begun. I'm not going to spoil, obviously, but the crux of the story certainly has just started. So these are the guys with the exclamation marks on their head. You can go talk to them, and they'll have something to say. Sometimes it'll be a cutscene, sometimes they'll just say stuff. This guy's just talking shit, so I'll just stand for it. And you'll get him at the end. It'll knock off 2 hours. So this guy's actually a total creep. He's a weirdo. I don't want any part of him. He was probably saying really creepy things, but. So, we've finished that mission, so we're back in the Hogwarts place, we're back in school, so we have 10 hours to kill. We can either skip that again, or we can just do stuff. Over there is the arena, you can do training to get some XP. Well, there's like this weird thing where you can, which is what I've done actually, where it said mid-training on my save point, you like put a character into train while you're offline, while you're not in the game or whatever. And then when they go back, they'll level up a bit, depending on how long you've gone for. And then there's like weird exploits I read about, where because based on how much time has passed, you put someone into train, and then just like set the system clock forward a year or something nuts, and then just go in and you get the max amount of XP or whatever the fuck. But that's cheesy. We're not here to cheese the game. We're here to enjoy it. So. And I have been enjoying it. I have very much been enjoying it. Some of the technical stuff is a bit clunky. This motion blur stuff is a bit intense. You kind of get used to it, but it's still a bit jarring. Especially here, it's more noticeable here because the camera's zoomed in a bit more. But I'm enjoying, some of the story stuff's pretty good. The overall story's pretty interesting. The CG is obviously really well done. The voice acting's kind of weird. I kind of hope we get into a cutscene with actual dialogue. just because I want to see, or I want to show off the voice acting, because it's not necessarily bad. It's kind of all over the place. The main characters are main few characters are decent, pretty good, kind of what you'd expect from a Final Fantasy game. And some are bad, but it's just something weird about the delivery. It's hard to really explain without showing it off, but again, we can take classes that will knock off 2 hours and that will improve stuff. So let's take a class. These classes are kind of weird. They kind of just do these really generic shots. Apparently, what? Oh, this guy's unbearable. Oh, God, I hate that guy so much. He's easily the worst character. I want to actually see if we can talk. I'm just get this. I'm gonna see if we can talk to him, because he's like the best example of the weird voice acting in this game. If we can find out where he lives, it's just something about the delivery, something about the animation that go with it. I honestly don't know. Oh, there he is, but I don't think we can get him to talk. Basically, he just says like "yo" and "hey" at the end of every sentence, but he says it in a really weird way, and the delivery is just off. It's just, he really does my head in every time he talks. Obviously, it's just the dubbing. You know, this is a Japanese game. Obviously, you can't really expect it to be perfect, but it's just super weird. It's not even like the voice acting's bad in all circumstances. It's just weird. Okay, there's some stuff going on here that I can't access because I'm not far enough in, but I think we'll hop into the other side now. You kind of get an idea of this whole world. There's all these places on the map, and some of them are accessible through the Great Portal and stuff. You get the idea. You can leave at any point now that the prologue's over or whatever. You can leave at any point to go to the overworld. So we'll just return to town. But I've been really enjoying it. The comparison to Crisis Core, at least gameplay wise, is kind of apt. It's kind of fast and fluid without, you know, it gets rid of the turn-based formula for the most part. Okay, cool. So we put a guy to train actually. So Jesus. Oh, I'm completely missed with that. Wow, look at all this XP. Jeez, level 58. 11,000! Oh wow, this is insane. Okay, he was 23 when I put him in. I'll level 28, Jesus. So I put him in for a good few days. I haven't played this game in a few days, so that's pretty good. I kind of wanted to get him leveled up because he was kind of lacking behind my other guys, if you see. You know, he's caught up now, so I can actually use him. It's pretty cool. I might replace him with 7. But that's pretty cool. It's the first time I actually used that, that's why I got a trophy for it. But we'll set Ace back. So, kind of take a look at some of the later game stuff, you know. I'm much deeper in, so I've got better equipment and stuff. You can kind of see accessories, there are tons of them, you know, they give fairly rudimentary bonuses, but pretty good ones, you know. Increase defense, increase health, whatever. So, they've got better weapons and stuff. If we were to actually look at armament, you can also see that, you know, I could change out my abilities or the ones I've got. I don't have that many yet. You know, I replaced cut thing with cut cards with attack hand, which I was talking about before. That just gives it a higher chance of being an offensive ability, I think. Or, you know, everyone has all these sort of stock spells, which are kind of weird. They don't really explain these particularly well. They've all got different names. RF is like a weird thing that you aim that I don't particularly like. This is like a nice AoE, and this is like a big explosion around you. It's another AoE. It's more like a directed thing, the SHG, but I prefer the SHG generally. But the rock isn't bad, but RF is a bit of a weird one. But I'm not entirely sure what that even means. But and this is what I was talking about. This is what you spend Phantoma on to upgrade spells. Sorry. You know, like I said, fire, ice, lightning, defense, and unique. Don't know what unique is. I haven't found anything like that. So you know, I could go into lightning SHG, which I know a lot of people use, and you know, you can see in the top right what I actually need. think I've actually just done this, which is why I can't afford anything. But if I could, I could increase all this power, the mana cost, the cast time. Some of these kind of affect each other. I think you kind of have to keep in mind that if you increase the power, then the mana cost might go up a bit, or if you increase any of these, the mana cost might go up a bit. But that's generally something you should keep in mind. That's why it's important to absorb as much Phantom as possible, because it's pretty useful to upgrade spells and stuff. And anyone can use a spell as well, which is why it's useful. Okay, so this guy's got a side quest. This is what tasks are. Okay, I don't know who Amina is. Okay, no, I think I did. I wanted to make a ring, but I can't find. Oh, this guy. Yeah, turn this one down. Okay, so he wants us to get a diamond ore, but as you can see, he recommended level 55, and we're like level 28. So, sorry, buddy, you're gonna have to wait for the proposal because I'm left. I'm not sure why it's giving me such high level quests so early on, because the quests seem to, as far as I can tell, they seem to like. They seem to change. They seem to be different every time you go in. You come back to the thing, come back to the academia or whatever. So it's kind of weird that they they are like putting forward such high level quests that they know I can't do yet. I don't know, maybe they crop up there. I don't know, but so. I can show off the chocobo breeding now, I guess. Actually. It's fairly simple, but it's important to keep doing because, like I said, the chocobos are pretty important for getting around the overworld. So I can talk to this guy now. I can say, oh, my chocobos are hatched, so I get all these. Woo! Sweet. Do you want to breed? Yes, I do. So we got all sorts. Really. Let's breed a combat one and a swift wind one. And you give them feed. There's different types of feed, and the type of feed that you give them, changes what kind of breeding you can do. This is just this is like the most basic one that just allows you to breed many, or just like more, So this won't. I won't actually be able to get these eggs until all the chocobos that are in them until the next time I come back here. So next time, after the next mission, I'll be able to come here and pick up these chocobos and do it again. So. Kind of a cool thing. It's important to do, like I said, because they are useful. Because getting around the overworld can be a bit of a pain, especially when you're constantly running into random battles and stuff. But there is like fast travel later on. Because if we look at the map, there is a huge map. There's a big world map going on here. And it's all split into regions and territories, because the game's story and the game setup is all about it's all about war and territory. So it's a lot about taking territory, losing territory, and gaining it back through story stuff. And I don't want to spoil any of that, but there are particular missions that we won't be able to get into now because I don't have one available. But like weird RTS missions where you're kind of like regaining ground and you are like. Invading towns while protecting your own in this weird on the overworld. You kind of go around and there are like weird, really rudimentary looking packs of enemies that kind of like, if you can imagine, like lanes of creep in like a MOBA and like a Dota or a League, kind of bashing against each other, just constantly grinding, and they could never move until you actually interfere. And so you kind of have to input your own damage into the enemy and kind of push the creep wave towards them, if you kind of get me. And then you can once you've done most damage to the town, you can kind of invade that town and you move on to the others and stuff. There's like a weird pseudo strategy element to it, so it's pretty cool. But unfortunately we probably won't be able to show that off because I just did one before last time I played, so I don't think I'm gonna get another one. But they're all story related anyway. So you can see on the left there that there are these like emblems. The sort of eagle is always the academia or whatever. I think this is the Empire, the Imperials, kind of the baddies. So there are a lot of regions and a lot that I haven't conquered. So you can also see that I'm only here. Like I only got to about here. If you can imagine coming up from like here around and coming up here, there's still a long way to go. So it's a pretty big world. Now I do like this kind of war sort of strategy element to it, where you are constantly like sieging the world and trying to conquer it as much as you can and try to pull back your own losses and wins and sort of territory and stuff. It's kind of a cool addition. It's a cool backdrop. So, okay, I don't know why I'm in here because I don't want to actually show off any of the. Sorry, God, I'm tired. I don't want to show off any of the story stuff because I'm too deep in. We'll just jump into the overworld, I guess. Actually, no, I'm going to go into the arena. That'll be a good chance to just show off the combat a bit more because it's fairly simple once you get the hang of it, but there's still a few things to talk about. So we can just initiate a combat session, and that will go in with whatever hero, whatever character you have enabled. So these combat sessions, these training sessions, are pretty simple. It will just keep respawning a captain and 2 soldiers, and then you just kind of fight them for as long as you can. And you get XP while you do it, but you can only last so long, so it's pretty hard. Or it can be, you know. Should also note that obviously I'm much deeper in, so I've got different abilities. I have this fire spell, which is pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Look at that. Yeah, that fucking. That's the lightning version of that is really effective against machines and aircraft and vehicles and stuff, of which there are quite a lot, like mechs and stuff. It's pretty effective as that. So I'm getting a lot of these like killed things. You see, it's kind of like timing based. If they jump to the floor or whatever, if they're in a vulnerable position, then it kind of procs it. Or right after they've shot, or right after they've attacked, it procs it again. So it's kind of important to keep an eye on that. But, you know, I have like infinite dodging now because I've upgraded it, so I can just hold down the circle and just go and just book it for years. Also, I can do that to him, so from all that. Oh god. So it probably looks a bit more complicated than it actually is. You know, you've got your 4 abilities, 3 abilities and auto attack, and then you can dodge and stuff. And there's a lock on, and there are like weird sort of passive abilities that don't show up that kind of almost fighting game like, in that you have to input like a certain sequence of button presses. It's usually like a direction, then like square or whatever. So I can hit like up and square to do this, like a melee thing, which does like a fuck ton of damage, but you get really close. So if I can do that again, whew. Or, you know, I can hold it, and that's down. In fact, it died. I'm gonna go back in there just so I can show off the other ability. This is a good place to level up people, obviously, but if I hold down back and square, you'll see that I'm charging up on the right there, and I can just unleash it, and it'll do like, pretty good ability, pretty good damage. It's not massive damage. I was kind of expecting it to be a bit more, but I don't know, it's alright. I don't think it's worth, or at least at the moment it doesn't seem worth the time it takes to charge. I mean, it doesn't take long, but the time that you spend charging it, do more damage just all attacking, but maybe it's just me. You could probably upgrade that as well, so that, you know, fucking effective. Obviously the combat's very different, or has a different flow to it when you're in a party with other members, and you can switch out. You're constantly trying to switch out so that you can have the best abilities for the moment. You might have one party member that has a particular like ice damage or whatever that's particularly effective in one fight, or lightning damage, so you have to switch out. Or you might just have like a ranged character like Ace that's trying to get an enemy far away or out of reach, so you have to switch out from the melee character that you're using or whatever. So, you know, there's some degree of depth to it. Also, I'm trying to constantly dodge this one. Well, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. Like I said about the port, I don't think it's amazing, but it's overall it's not too bad. You kind of get used to some of the weird like motion blur stuff, and well, unless you get motion sickness, and in which case you probably won't just get used to it, because probably a bit more of an issue than it's for someone like me, because I don't really stuff. There's some weird stuff with the dubbing, like I said, the voice acting's kind of weird, kind of crazy. but you get kind of used to it. The writing's a little weird. It's all, you know, you have to bear in mind that it is a Final Fantasy game, and it is a dub game, so we'll translate another later. So you kind of have to keep that in mind when you think about stuff. But I'm just gonna die now. I'm just gonna. Come on, hit me. Shoot me. Come on. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can really, or should really show off. I don't need to do anything here. You kind of shut off the overworld. You can kind of imagine it gets much bigger. Shut off most of this place, Academia. You know, all these different buildings that you go to, different quests, kind of worth exploring. I think that's it, pretty much for me. That's Final Fantasy Type 0. It's a pretty cool game, honestly. If I mean, I'd definitely say if you bought it for the 15 demo, it's definitely worth checking out. I can't imagine that you wouldn't play it, but if you weren't planning on doing it, I definitely think it's worth checking out. But if you didn't buy it for the demo and you're still interested, then I think it's worth it. It seems like it's worth the full price if you're gonna play it, because play it all the way through, because it's a pretty long game. It seems like there might be some longevity to it with some of the extra features that are going on. It's stuff that the story seems pretty interesting and stuff, so guys. So that's Type 0, I guess. That's all for me, I guess. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.